when Donnie gets here, and before you shift over to the panel, we can have Donnie talk about.
That'd be great. As soon as he gets here, he'll have to raise his hand, and then Ashley can promote him to a panelist.
Yeah, Ashley, you can take care of that when you see Donnie get on, okay?
Got it.
All right, very good. All right, no, I just want to say again, James, we've gotten so many great comments, and I took a ton of notes yesterday. And you know what I'm doing, guys? This just a little tip. Over there in that chat bar, I've just been going in and highlighting all the, the comments, because even though you may not bring them up, oh shoot, even though you may not bring them up, James, because there's so much stuff happening in that chat box that you and I get to see, or everybody gets to see actually, that I go over there and I highlight some of the comments or some of the ideas, and then I just have my Outlook open. I know I'm old-fashioned, have Outlook, and I just cut and paste them to a Word document or the Outlook, and then I just email them to me later. So I have like all the little comments that everybody's making, and then I want to send that out to everybody. So I would encourage you guys to do that. Makes it so easy in note-taking as well.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I love that. And the key to that is make sure that you that you're doing it to panelists and attendees. So if you want people to see your comments, right? So in the chat box, it defaults, I think, to panelists. Well, the panelists are just the people who have video up, right? So you want to do panelists and attendees if you want everyone to see it. Well, look at Brandy's background this morning. That is fancy. My goodness.
You're muted,
Oh,
Brandy.
you're muted, Brandy. I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
You're muted. Damien.
I have a really good one just for you. So you tell me if you want me to switch this.
Yeah, let's see where else you're going to be. Damien, looks like you're sitting in the middle of the water there. So
I'm gonna boat.
you're on your
Don't
boat.
drown, Damien.
What do you think of this one, James?
Oh, I like it. She's got a little shift happens background. Hey, you use whatever one makes you happy, right?
Okay,
At the
I
end
just
of
want
the
to show
day,
you that one, just so you know.
I want, that is fantastic though. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's see. Is Donnie in here yet? I'm just checking real quick before we get started. I don't see him. So as he gets in, that'll be great. All right, so let's start with this, Ashley. So get ready for your unmute game. We're going to share ahas from yesterday. I'm going to open it to our panelists who are on first, who are going to share some things with us. Again, I want to start with panelists just from the last 3 days. What have been some of the things that have stood out to you?
Well, James, now that we have time, doing the basics is always, I played sports all my life, and the best coaches that I ever had were going back to the basics. So, taking time, working on your database, making sure you're lead generating, being able to check all the boxes. For me and my team, our daily accountability calls are all about that. Hitting our goals, making our calls. So
you know what's great, Ray, is that Gary says in the Shift book, the basics are never outdated. He said 2 + 2 is 4. And he said he learned it that way, and his son learned it that way, and we've all learned it that way. And so getting back to the basics in a time like this is really important.
Yep.
Well, hey, you know what I think, y'all?
What do you think, Rebecca?
I think that there's no place that ever prepares us for what we're about to go through besides Keller Williams. Because all I see in Inman is this company is selling a stake of $110 million to get some more money for their company, or they're shutting down their offers, or they're not going to be doing this, or they're not going to be doing that. And all I see is all the things that we are doing, and that we have so many opportunities for training, and we're all there to help everybody, that I don't see anybody else doing that. And this is how we weathered the storm last time, because we faced it together and got really educated and moved forward. That's what I see.
I love it, Rebecca. It's what Mark King brought up on a call that I watched him say. He said, instead of focusing what we can't do, let's focus on what we can. And that's what this company is doing. That's what your region's been doing. And, you've lived through multiple shifts. Keller Williams is not the only brand you've been a part of, so you've seen it from other sides. And
Yep.
Yeah, we're fortunate and blessed, Rebecca.
Hey,
Yep.
Jane, do you know what stood out to me regarding Rebecca? And kudos to everybody, because you've all been through this and you've been with the region for a long time. But Rebecca, you've been in the business for how long?
32 years.
32 years, probably longer than a lot of us. And she is getting ahas from your call.
Yeah.
So the you know, we talk about our 6 personal perspectives being learning based.
Mhm.
And Rebecca and Jean are both obviously very learning based individuals, but for anybody that did not take the time to be on this call or to, and think that they're not going to learn something, Rebecca, you still get on calls, you still come to training events, you still are so learning based. Why is that? I'm curious, what causes you to want to do that and feel that you have to learn?
Well, right now, I think what causes me to do that, well, I know we can always get better. I hope that, you know, one day I say I'm going to be there, but unfortunately I'm never going to be there. I think what matters right now, y'all, is that all this helps us not be afraid. All this helps us know that we will be the ones that will succeed. And I'm sorry for other people, other places, but you know, somebody is going to take market share now. And so I have to say that I'm kind of excited. I don't want to say, you know, like this is a good thing, but I'm excited because I'm with who I'm with.
Mm-hmm.
And that we always come out ahead. I've been through 9/11. I've been through the Great Recession. I've been through the pipeline issue. I've been through when 5 hurricanes came through Florida. I've been through Michael with my Panama City office. And you know what? Everybody's always at Keller Williams stepped up to the plate and made sure that we weren't ill-prepared, not prepared. So I feel okay. I just know that it's going to be a new challenge and we'll come out fine on the other side.
You know, I wonder, Rebecca, if that's because the guy who runs our company actually sold real estate. And so he gets it.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
he's the only one, right, running a major
Only
real
one.
estate company that actually sold real estate. And he said, I remember at Family Reunion in 18, he said, when he dies, it's going to say realtor on his tombstone, right? So,
Well, and he started the company, you know, in a time that was very interesting too. So I think that helps. And we've had so much growth. I mean, Georgia, I think I started in 2011 and that was after the oil spill. So we had the 2008 and we couldn't quite recover from that. And then 2010, the oil spill, like Rebecca was talking about, I was on my own as my own brokerage. And it was definitely different doing that on my own. Now I feel I'm with you, Rebecca. I think it's okay to say that we're excited because we know we're going to get through this and we have the support and we have the leadership and the training and we have people around us with positive mindsets. And it does make a huge difference. I can tell you from my experience.
you know, what's great about what you just said, Brandy, is that you're prepared. I think the reason why we would say we're excited, and maybe the word is more, we just see opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's because we're prepared. And we're prepared because, again, I'm going to say it, the guy who runs our company, Gary, starts the shift book. Page 1 of the shift book says, the real estate market has shifted drastically and dramatically. Sales volume and the number of transactions has dropped significantly. Inventory has reached an all-time high. Buyers have never been more reluctant. Fear is rampant, anxiety is high, and people are getting out of the business left and right. Sound familiar? It sure does. The year was 1979, and that's what was happening all around me. I was 22 years old, new to the industry and new to Austin, knew nothing and knew no one, and still sold 6 houses in my first month. He says, then the market collapsed and interest rates went to 18%. The marketplace fell into chaos, and I didn't close a sale for 5 months. By Christmas, I was 6 months into my career and broke. That's the guy who's leading us right now.
Yeah.
And that's why, Rebecca, we're in the right spot. Brandy, that's why we're in the right spot, because we see it, we do see it as an opportunity. And let me share something with you. It says on page 34, and if you've been on the calls with me, you're going to get tired of me saying the same stuff over and over. And that's this. When a shift hits, initially everyone gets hit equally. The market doesn't discriminate, so all boats float lower. What happens first is equal and without choice. What happens next is unequal and determined by choice. Georgia, there are real estate companies and offices in our area who are going, we're just going to wait this out.
Yeah.
And so their boats float lower. And Chris, you're leading your office, and Rich Carpentier, you're leading your office. Brandy, you're leading your office. I don't know if Beth's on or not. She's leading her. And our boats are going to go up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the reality is, James, also that if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it. So we've got to remember that if you don't step into that void right now and lead your group, someone else is going to step in that void and lead your group. So a shift is happening, and we've just got to make sure that we got to get real and get right, as they say in the Shift book, with our mindset, with all of our activities, our daily activities, and make sure that we're going to be on the top of this when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Okay, I want to hit pause real quick because I know we got a lot to talk about, and I want to go into one thing, and then what I'm going to do is come through and have all our panelists introduce themselves. So give me a second. I got to go in and click some buttons now. This gets exciting. So hold on. And panelists, Ashley, do me a favor. Would you mute the panelists except for me? Or panelists, you mute yourselves. And I want to go through and teach you something real quick just to help get you into action. So panelists. Okay, there we go. We're good. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate you. Oh, wait, I'm muted too? No, I'm good. Okay. Panelists, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me just real quick. I got to see. Okay, thank you. If you had that on your bingo card, you can circle it right now. All right, so let's talk about shifting into action. And here's what happens, okay? When a shift happens, our goals can feel daunting. And the results might slow down just a little bit. And so I want to look at kind of the big picture for you. And one thing I might recommend to you is this, that you probably did your 2020 business plan and you're all wound up and excited and ready to hit your goals. And here, take your 2020 business plan and go put it over here on the shelf for a minute. And instead, what we're going to do is an April plan. We're going to get super focused for what we'd like to have accomplish in April. And do you have the right structure to be able to do that? So let me show you something that's on the screen here, and I want you to think about this. It says, a dream written down becomes a goal broken down becomes a plan, and a plan backed by action becomes reality. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and a plan backed by action becomes reality. Well, I want you to think about what is the goal you'd like to have accomplished by the end of April. What should your pipeline look like? How many active listings are you going to have? Team leaders, how many agents are you bringing into our company? And then what action steps are going to be required for you to do that? This morning on our 8 a.m. Eastern call, if you were on it, I shared some stuff that I got from a call with Monica Reynolds and Jordan Freed. And if you haven't watched that call, I'm going to recommend you go into KW Connect and go to the pivot page in KW Connect and look for the video with Jordan Freed and Monica Reynolds. And what he said in there was this, that we tend to doubt our ability and possibilities. We tend to doubt our ability and possibilities. And instead, during this time, why don't we think with unlimited thinking? And let's follow this particular plan. And he says this is what the military uses whenever they're going to put something together, and that is PACE. PACE, P-A-C-E. And PACE stands for our primary tactic. This is all things perfect and wonderful. This is what's going to happen, our primary tactic. Well, what do we know is that the primary tactic, the primary plan doesn't always work. So the A stands for alternate plan. So if the primary tactic doesn't work, what's our alternate? Well, sometimes you heard plan A, plan B, and so on, right? Well, sometimes the primary doesn't work, and then the alternate doesn't work, so you have to go to C, and C is contingency. Well, we've got one more letter, so what's that? See, P is primary, A is alternate, C is contingency, and E is emergency. Now, here's the opportunity for you in your business for the next month. Come up with your primary. What's your primary tactic to hit the goal? If that doesn't work, what's our alternate? If that doesn't work, what's the contingency? And if that doesn't work, what's the emergency plan? And also go and sit down today with your family. Sit down with your family and walk through, what is your world going to look like as a family? What's the P? What's the A? What's the C? And what's the E for a family? And we'll talk about what's on my mind when I hear that is expenses, by the way, and our income and what's happening with that. Because my guess is there's people watching this call who've had deals fall out. I don't know, team leaders, no Ps, you can raise your hand, those of you on the screen, and tell me, have you had any deals in your market center that have fallen out? And my guess probably is yes. So what's the primary tactic they're going to use to keep deals together? What's the alternate? What's the contingency? Maybe the contingency is cutting your expenses by 30%. And then what's the emergency? So that's the thing I want you to think about is what is it you'd like to make have happen? What's the dream? Assign a date to it, make that the goal, break down the goal into a plan using the PACE, and then get into action so that you can create reality. That was the message I wanted to share with you this morning because we've given you a lot of ideas. The end of the day, you got to get to work. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna open it up now to our panelists. And I want to be able to talk a little bit. And I see, is Donnie here now? He is. Okay, Ashley, will you unmute the people? And there's Donnie. And of course, he has a fancy background. Okay, Donnie, let's do some Lion King dances first, and then you can talk to the people.
So because I can't visit anyone, I am now changing my virtual background to a new office I find online every day because it just makes me feel like I'm working in a new location.
That's so good. Donnie, can I show you, though, the background that I picked out for you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, here it is. What do you think?
It's a shame that I'm not drinking out of my Lion King mug this morning.
I know it. I got that just for you. Well, listen, you got some cool stuff going on to help with tech, and I know Georgia wants you to talk about that, so share with everybody if you would.
Yes. Thank you so much for letting me join this morning. I just wanted to share with all of you, as we're all pivoting, I'm doing the exact same thing, working through the region, helping provide new technology resources. I host a weekly webinar that some of you have attended previously, and I'm changing things up over the next couple of months. So for April, I have some really exciting announcements. It's every Thursday at 3 o'clock, but it's completely new this month. So starting next week, I have guests from the North Florida region, people from your own market centers that are innovating and using technology to push this time, get in deeper relationships with their customers, cut expenses by using third-party applications that they're replacing with Keller Williams technology. I'm talking Tony Zaragami is going to be on next Thursday. We have the Irons team from Orlando Lake Nona talking about virtual home buying seminars on April 16th. Cassandra Van from Lakeland is going to be talking to us about consumer experience on April 23rd. And then I have the Rocco group from Jacksonville who actually transitioned their team into Command. We're going to be having an honest conversation, the good, the bad, the ugly, how that went, and what made them choose to make that decision on April 30th. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to drop the link in the chat box so everyone can register for those. They're 30 minutes in length every Thursday at 3 o'clock for 30 minutes. Yes, they'll be recorded and they'll be posted so you can watch them at any time because I know that you all have busy schedules and there's a lot of training available that I want you to tune into. So just one more resource for you to tap into and push through this time.
Dude, you're awesome. Thank you. Thanks for helping everybody pivot. That's going to be awesome stuff. Appreciate you, Donnie. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
You got it. All right, so we're going to spend our morning today learning from people who've experienced a shift and know what it means to pivot and walk us through some strategies and ideas that can help us. I'm going to have you introduce yourselves very quickly. You can tell us who you are, you know, where you are, what your role is, and I'm just going to do it as you show up in my screen. So Rebecca, you're first in my screen. And I think Rebecca has been in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something because she is in the grass right now. I don't know what's going on. Rebecca, introduce, and when you type, by the way, it's kind of freaky. Put your hands on the keyboard real quick. It's kind of freaky. Oh my gosh, that's so weird. Hey, introduce yourself, please.
Okay, Rebecca Rivers. Yes, I am married to Gene Rivers. Everybody always goes, oh, you're Gene's wife. Yeah. We're in the Panhandle. We have offices in Jacksonville, Orange Park, Tallahassee, and Panama City.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca.
Business for 32 years and sold real estate for 29.
And lived through some shifts.
Yeah, and some other stuff too.
Yeah, there you go. Damien, you're up next.
Good morning. I'm the team leader in Lakeland. I work with Chris McLaughlin, and 24 years in real estate. And it seems like every 12 years we hit a shift. So here we are again.
Welcome back, right?
Yep.
All right. Brandy.
Hey guys, I'm Brandy Coffey. I'm an OP in Bend, Florida, and I've been in business for about 15 years. So this will be my third shift, and very glad it's with Keller Williams now.
There you go. Yeah, you're in the right spot. Thanks, Brandy, for being here. Ray.
Yeah, my name is Ray Lopez. Got in the business in 2003. OP of Gainesville. Have 3 expansion locations. Part investor in 3 locations as well, market centers. Glad to be here. Been through a couple of different shifts. Here's a testimony to a couple of the panelists. In 2008, when everything was going south, Beth Woodall was my team leader in Waterford at the time, and I asked her if she could turn me on to a resource to help me and my team get better through that shift. And she hooked me up with Gene and Rebecca Rivers, and I took my team to Tallahassee for half a day, and they helped us get everything established to make it through that shift. So it's pretty cool.
It's a great family we have, and everybody's able to help each other. Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ray, for being here. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Herndon. I am in the Apollo Beach office, and we have an office in South Tampa, and I am the Tampa Bay Ben Kenny team expansion partner.
Fantastic. Thank you. Hi, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, James. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Super. I'm Chris McLaughlin. I'm the OP of 4 market centers, Tampa Central, New Tampa, Lakeland, and Winter Haven. And I, in the last shift, kind of got famous for short sales. So that's one of my specialties is short sales.
Love it. Thank you, Chris. Happy to have you. Hey, Rich. Good morning.
Good morning to you, James. My name is Rich Carpentieri. I'm a MAPS Bold coach, also a OP for multiple market centers in Spring Hill, Claremont, and in Citrus.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Brandon, hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm
Brandon
awesome.
Gill, out of Amelia Island, Florida. Been in business since early 2000s, with KW since 2011. Unfortunately, I wasn't with KW when the shift happened last time, but I was lucky enough to get in with you guys and help me get through the aftermath of the shift last time. So learned a lot, and I have a lot to share of what I went through.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. Real quick, we've been using our Keller Williams lingo in here, and some people don't know what it is, so I got to fix it. So OP is the operating principal. They're the rich person who owns the office. That's the way I like to look at it. All right, they got all the cash money. Look at them laughing now. They're all laughing now. So there you go. Hey, Ron, good morning.
Hey, James, how are you?
I'm awesome.
I'm from Sarasota and Bradenton, major investor in those 2 market centers. Been in the business for 24 years now. In the last shift, we also focused on short sales with a 98% success ratio. So we lived on those puppies for 4 or 5 years there. This is pretty good.
Well, sometimes what you have to do in a shift, Ron, is reinvent the business, right?
And yourself.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Thank
Great.
you. Tony, good morning.
Good morning, Tony Baroni here. We have an office. I'm in the Brandon office in Tampa Bay, and we have an expansion office in Orlando. Been in business since 2005. Been with KW since 2007. And the last shift, I specialized in expired listings and short sales. And it was an interesting journey. And I'm really getting honed in for the next shift here that we're experiencing right now. So hope to bring some value to today to everyone on this video.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it so much. All right, Beth, close us out.
Hey, my name is Beth Woodhall. I'm the OP of the Dr. Phillips Market Center. And as I look around at all of the screens here, what I think strikes me the most is I've been in business with most of you either directly or indirectly for a very long time. And I think that's the message, is that when we get through these tough times, when we lean in and make it through, the people that we see on the other side, we know are our business partners, our friends, our colleagues, the people that we turn to for the next shift.
It's a true story. And I think Georgia's done a great job leading the region through a lot of these things. That's why you still see the same people here. I mean, Beth, you and I sat in a room one time, if I remember, with Holly, then Perry Holly Prescott now, right? Going through the book and highlighting things. And here, look, many of the people on this were in that room, and we're still here. So the lesson is we can make it through a shift. You can survive and thrive.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Rich was a team leader. Ray was an agent. Beth was an agent, moved into the team leader role right around the shift time. So the reason I wanted to point those out is that we had Damien, you were running your team back in those days. So we have a lot of people that were agents or team leaders, and now because they made it through that shift and did such a great job, they now have opportunities because a lot of OPs you see here or agents running mega agents teams.
Yeah, and or even some of the OPs have added market centers in that time, right? I mean, I don't think Gene and Rebecca had, you guys didn't have all 4 offices at that time, so opportunity shows up. And Chris, I don't know about you, if you added one since 09. I mean, I want to start there, and that is that there is opportunity in a shift, and it's easy to crawl into a hole and get nervous and scared and have fear. How do you stay focused on the opportunity that's available? And just anybody who wants to talk is how we're going to play the game. So, and we'll play interrupter rules, right? So if somebody interrupts, just let them go. Go ahead. How do you have opportunity in a shift?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Tony.
I think you need to master virtual presentations right now. It's critical, regardless of what happens. That might be a practice that we can use for now on. So I'm going to challenge everyone listening. Do you have your listing presentation on video? If you don't, maybe that's something you can do really soon. And for my April goal that you mentioned earlier, James, my April goal is very simple. It's 15 listings in April. And I believe the listing count helps make everything happen, as the MREA teaches us as well. So master virtual presentations would be top of my list right now during the shift, and being able to show houses virtually as well. So I hope that helps.
It's a huge help, and that's why the stuff Donnie's doing is so important, and getting on those calls on Thursday to learn from the agents who've mastered that. Tony, I'm going to ask you a real follow-up question real quick before others start to share. And you said your listing count makes everything happen. And so the goal is 15 listings. Of course, DeSantis said, hey, shelter in place, everything, except real estate's essential. How are you working between the environment that we're in right now and still maintaining your listing goal?
Yeah, I'll give you a good example. So we find the listings we're taking right now are selling immediately because we already have a low inventory in Tampa Bay and Orlando. So as long as we get the listing, we're probably going to sell it quickly. So we're just shifting to virtual presentations. So I have one this afternoon. They really were pushing me to come out, and then I just don't think they thought there was other options. So I was talking to them this morning and just said, hey, what if we did this? I'll go ahead and email you my listing presentation. And then from there, I'll email you the pre-listing packet. I have all my video walkthroughs in the example in the email, and then we'll just have a conversation. You guys will do a walkthrough with FaceTime, and then we're going to jump on a Zoom, and then we're going to go over comps and then answer all your questions. And you know what they said? They're like, oh, good. That sounds wonderful. We'd rather do it that way anyway. So, the clients don't want us at their house either, right? So, I think prepping for whatever that looks like for you. We've had our listing presentation on video for quite some time, and I can't tell you how many listings we get because, of our out-of-state sellers that are non-owner occupieds that prefer that anyway. So go ahead and change your business now while you can, and we may have a little extra time to do that at the moment.
Love it. Thank you, Tony. Who's next? How do you stay focused on opportunity right now?
Yeah, I'd like to add and just kind of piggyback on what Tony was saying about the listings. We've taken 3 listings just in the past week by doing our listing presentation on a Zoom call. And we do the same thing. So it is the exact same presentation. We have our listing book that is the presentation that we have on a PDF slides, and we go through that and address whatever questions that they have. We have them, like Tony, we have them walk through the house and do a walkthrough tour for us so we can take our walkthrough notes. And the only person really who's going to be going into the house, if they want them to, will be the professional photographer. And we've been lucky because our sellers are okay with the photographer going in there. But there's also safety precautions, right? So I'm going out to show houses this afternoon. I'm showing 4 homes using every safety precaution we're supposed to. We have a list of what our sellers should do in this case if they are going to allow their home to be shown, and what the buyer should do if they are willing to go on showings. We have booties, we have the gloves, we have masks that we're using sparingly, hand sanitizer and all of that. But taking the listings is obviously what's going to help us survive now, just like it did back in the short sale days.
Thank you, Michelle. What else? How else do you see opportunity?
Jam, I remember back in 2008 when things were getting really tough. I was still as a mega agent at the time, and I had to learn a new skill set. It was called short sales. And that was like an amazing opportunity. And for those people who didn't learn how to deal with distressed properties, they got out of the business. And in 2009, I became a team leader, had that opportunity, work with Georgia, and Beth worked with me closely. I had to learn another new skill set at that point. It was called the needs analysis. So the question is, in any down market or any shifting market, what new skill set do I have to learn in order to thrive? And I think that's the most important question that agents can ask themselves is, what are they willing to do and what are they willing to learn to not only just survive, but to thrive in that market?
So I'd like to finish on that one. So I agree with Rich, and I think that the biggest thing that we can do is take action. So I'm watching the chat pop up, and I'm looking for a great insert, whatever it is. Stop looking and do. The client on the other side doesn't know that you don't know how to do this. The first time you do a needs analysis, the person that you're speaking with doesn't know that you missed 3 or 4 questions. You've just got to do it. And that's how you learn. Watching videos and educating and taking notes is gonna prepare you. But the only thing that's going to make a difference is when you do. So I'm sure that Tony's first virtual listing presentation was probably pretty stinky compared to his process now. And I'm sure Michelle has honed hers over time, but the first one is going to be a hot mess, but you got to do it anyway. It's the first one of everything. And
Beth, you just said something smart, which you always do. And in the book, Gary basically says the same thing. He says, once you know, it's not about more knowing, it's about doing. Okay, so we know now we're going to do virtual listing presentations. So go do them. And you don't need Tony's necessarily, because that's Tony's. And what might work for Tony works for Tony, may not work for you. And notice that Michelle's doing a totally different style of what Tony's doing, and they're both taking listings. So you're right, just go do. Couple more. How do you focus on opportunity in a shift?
Well, I'll add to that, James. Just, we may switch. We're doing the video right now, but if based on conversion, it may not work, and I may switch to Michelle's, which is our whole presentation on Zoom. So, have to be open to change, right? And watch your conversion and see what works and what doesn't. So that's right. Get into action. Just wanted to add that.
Thanks, Tony. Hey, Brandy, what do you want to add?
Just basically, lead with faith, not fear. I think that's the most important thing. I think that was a quote from John Maxwell, and that's really helped me kind of guide my people and just help them. I think that, people are afraid to get in front of a camera and do things live, and they've never done them before. If you just start, it doesn't have to be perfect. Your lighting doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect microphone or ring light. Those are great things you can add along the way, but just go out there, do it, start getting into conversation with people, and just be different than everyone else. And
hey, if that Tiger King guy can do a TV show every day, you can do a virtual listing appointment. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. All right.
James, just going to Brandy and Elizabeth's and Beth's point is basically, we always tell people that perfection is the enemy of profitability. Just go out and take action. Doesn't matter if you get it right the first time or not. Just fix it. You're surrounded by great leadership here. If you're an agent, you just need to take action. It doesn't matter if you get it right. Just go out and do it.
Well, Gary says that. He says one of the greatest myths is that you succeed your way to success. It isn't true. In fact, just the opposite is true. You fail your way to success. Everybody fails. The ones who succeed are the ones who keep going, and the ones who fail are the ones who don't. So we're going to learn this thing as we go. All right. Anybody else want to add about seeing opportunity in a shift?
James, I want to point out one thing. A lot of people are asking questions. If you go to your shift pivot and you go to the videos and the training classes that Keller Williams has, there's scripts and there's actual video presentations and stuff on all of this.
Thank you, Georgia. Ray?
Yeah, so, being the expert in everything that is Corona now is actually very, very helpful. And what that means is from everything that happened on Friday and helping small business owners out, because a lot of them don't have the resources that we have, that us OPs are passing back and forth to help delineate how this all works. When I'm having conversations with my database and one of them happens to own a business and I help them with all the Corona stuff and I send them all the stuff to help them apply for the loans, I'm no longer a realtor. I'm an expert in that field to the extent that I can be. And what's nice is they'll always remember me not so much as a realtor, but as a helpful resource.
Ray, that's when Gary says you're the local economist of choice. This is really important. And I heard a call this morning that said the government has not hired an inside sales team to call every person in America to let them know what they qualify for.
That's right.
Right. I mean, the government would actually prefer for you not to ask for the money. So you have to tell them that it's available and point them in the right direction, Ray. You're exactly right.
So James and Ray on that, it's like we have spent a lot of time trading information. And I think that goes back to finding your tribe and your resources. I mean, everyone on this call and everyone in the shift room is leaning into this. And so trading information, talking to each other, keeping your mindset right, staying positive and filtering out what you don't need to know is important. And just as Rich said, like Ray leaning into this whole Corona thing and becoming an expert on whatever, I didn't even know what SBA was a week ago. And now we have to learn it and take every resource and read and digest. So now that we have the time, I'm not even listening to people who are like, oh, I didn't see that email. Well, what else are you doing? What else are you doing besides, lead generating and absorbing information and turning it around to be valuable for your people, for your database, for your family?
I love it. Hey, can we talk money real quick?
Yes.
And I think this is an important issue. If you look at the book, the Shift book, he does mindset first and he does expenses second. I think that's on purpose. Gary does everything on purpose. What are some things that people need to understand about their money right now? Go ahead, Brandy.
I would love that you're talking about this because I think most agents are great negotiators. And if they're a top agent, they have great skills at doing so. So we negotiated anything we had in contract. So if there's anything that someone says, you have 5 months left, great, let's renegotiate that. We've cut our expenses 3 times and we already, in our minds, we're prepared for a shift. So I think you can keep cutting expenses and use your negotiation skills. And then even with the small businesses, we started a group on Facebook with all of our clients. We have 400 of their businesses in a small group. And now we're doing classes on how to help them cut their expenses. We're doing Zoom classes on how to do social media ads online, and we'll do them for them. And then we also have a class for them on just basically how to market. Right now, they have to get really creative. And we're starting another group with other realtors, even outside of Keller Williams, to deliver meals to the hospital. And we have all these great restaurants. We're known for restaurants in Sarasota, so that's a great way to support them, put their logo on the bag, and then you can open it up to other people that want to donate. So I think you can really use your communication skills, your people skills, and your negotiation skills right now.
Thank you. Rebecca, I saw you raise your hand. What do you want to add?
Yeah, I think that you need to get rid of everything besides command. Top producer, Boomtown, everything right now. Look, I have my team going through it. They've had top producer for years and years and they're kicking and screaming. I get it. Y'all, everybody just bite the bullet, let it go. I know that all the leads that we're getting through Facebook Accelerator and all that are way better than the stuff that we have to go through elsewhere. And we just need to cut it. Just cut it. Hey, y'all, when I started selling real estate, you couldn't buy a lead. You need to buy a lead. You know what I mean? You just need to get on the phone and call people. So just get rid of it. I mean, you'll all save yourself a lot of money. And you won't be beholden to them anymore. So
thank you.
The gift
Love
of the
it.
shift, James.
Chris, then we'll go to Beth. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Sure, it's the gift of the shift. I mean, there are going to be new business practices that are going to come out of this shift that you will continue to do. And so I think the one thing that we've done in Lakeland and at our offices is we've had the Facebook Lead Accelerator promoted heavily so that people can learn how to get a lead for $1 online. And we had Bobby Moats on. We've had a bunch of training on it. But the whole concept is that if you've been spending money on Zillow, you've been spending money on Realtor.com, it's time to get real, get right, and pivot and immediately start using Facebook Lead Accelerator and also other social media ways of advertising that are much, much, much less expensive and just as effective.
Beth?
Target those same audiences. You know, using those campaigns through command, you can actually go back through Facebook Direct. It pulls all those command lead capture forms that you've received, and you can retarget those audiences from lead campaigns that you pushed out a couple months ago.
Thank you. Beth, go ahead.
So I'm going to go back a few steps from Rebecca and Chris and Brandy and say, if you haven't had a tech audit with your leadership in your office, that's where you begin. So
thank you.
To be honest, a lot of this sounds super sophisticated when they start saying it. I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what they're talking about. You don't need to know right now. All you need to do is raise your hand, go to your leadership and say, walk me through a tech audit, and take the first step. Even if it's not as sophisticated as what Chris and Brandy and Rebecca are describing, you're going to find a way to save money, simplify your business, and help your family.
I love it. Now, we're talking a lot about saving money on tech. And I know, though, that we're going to find some waste in our expenses as well. And so I'm curious, especially from the agents, those of you selling, what's your strategy to go in and figure out, is this an expense I should keep or dump?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Michelle. And then Brandon, you'll be right after her.
We've been consistently cutting our expenses since December of 2017, when we knew the shift was coming. And so 2018, we cut about $10,000 in monthly expenses. And just since then, we thought, and we have calls every month with our CFO, and we're like, we're doing great. Our expenses are great. And just this month, we cut another $2,500 in expenses. So how did we do that? We just looked at it and said, did I get business from this? When was the last time I got business from this? And was it worth it? And now that stuff is gone, because honestly, we thought that it was working, but when you really dig deeper, it wasn't worth having that expense. The other thing is we're going back to not really paying for things on Facebook. It's go back to your groups that you've developed. It's go back to your people that you know, and just start reaching out to them and offering help. I mean, that's really what we're doing. We're not really pushing big marketing out right now. We're not stopping altogether because we need future business. But our business right now is coming from our community and from people that we know, because we're just saying, how can we help you?
Love it. Thank you. Brandon?
Basically, what I was going to say is, you know, from going through the past shift in the market, you know, I kind of have something, what you call a PTSD from that. So I pretty much ran a pretty streamlined business. Didn't spend a whole lot of money on a whole lot of things. So it's kind of already prepared. But, you know, I started diving in again, you know, when all this talk and shit was coming, and kind of followed the lead of an agent in our office, started doing, I call them Financial Fridays. Basically sit down every Friday and scrub your expenses. That's probably eliminated another $1,000 out of my budget, which I was already.
Brandon, I want to real quick. I want to ask you a question about that, because you said something. You said you basically have done this many times, so you run pretty lean anyway because you had the PTSD. And I hear this a lot from agents. They go, I already run really lean. Like, I barely have any expenses. And I always say, go look one more time.
Oh, there's always.
So when you went and looked one more time, you found stuff.
Yes. And mainly, honestly, where I saved was basically going all in with command. I mean, I was an early adopter. So I'm all in. I don't buy internet leads, really. I mean, I'm not saying there's not a place for that, but I'm a very big fear-based agent. So basically, command is, you know, I make my calls, and that's kind of what I've started doing. As soon as this all started, you know, I'm out there checking on my customer, and that's my focus is checking on those guys. And,
Brandon, what you're saying is, before we even think about, are we going to invest in buying any kind of lead? I don't care where it's from. Before we even think about it, we got to make sure that first we're investing in our database, and the investment in our database comes from time spent, not money spent. And if you aren't talking to your people, I don't care how many people you add to the database through buying leads, you aren't going to talk to them either. So talk to the people you've already got, right? That makes more sense. Damien, was your hand up?
No, it wasn't, but I would like to say that another idea would be to defend your expenses with somebody you trust. So just go through those and share those with that person and defend them why you should keep that expense.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So James,
Your top 3 lead sources too. I mean, we talk about that a lot, and we looked at our numbers again. We keep revisiting, and every month it's 60 to 70%. It's all database and Sphere. So, you know, why spend the money buying leads? And I think if you're an agent that has aspirations to look at that KW opportunity map and become a team leader or an operating principal or a speaker or trainer, even as an OP, we looked at our cleaning supplies yesterday. We thought we had, we cut even the cleaning supplies to order the best concentrated versions and have them shipped every 6 months instead of ordering on Amazon. I mean, little things like that, we got really nitty gritty with. So if you start doing that as an agent with the team, you'll be really prepared for other leadership roles because you have so many other people that you have to lead and be responsible for, and you have an obligation for them to be the most profitable.
Brandy, I don't know if I said it on here or I did 65 calls yesterday. I said, quit buying office supplies. Your home inspector or home warranty person has Post-it notes and pens. And when they would come in, I'd go, can I get some pens? And she'd say, how many do you want? And I go, how many boxes do you have? Right? I mean, we can get the supplies from them. Ron, how are you investing in the database first and making sure that you're getting a return on that? Because I think that's a really important piece, right?
Yeah, we're making care calls, not asking for business, going through the complete database, which is huge. It's like 900 of them. So just call them. Do you need anything? How you doing? And that type of thing.
Well, let's switch to that then, because expenses are first. By the way, every person who's watching this can find something to cut. So be careful when you say, there's nothing I can cut. I'm telling you, there's something in there. I found this week, I found something called Jib Jab. Cost me $1 a month. I don't even know what Jib Jab is. Cost me $1 a month. I got rid of it. $1 a month. $12. That's 2 coffees if Starbucks ever reopens. So I got rid of Jib Jab. So there's something, I'm telling you. All right, let's talk about
crazy videos that you send me.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to send them anymore, Georgia. I'm just going to have to text you instead. Now, here's the deal.
Before you move
go ahead,
on,
Rich, go ahead.
Just want to make one point. In the book Shift, chapter 12 talks about bulletproofing the transaction. Well, I think in these times we need to bulletproof the relationship.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you're talking about. Is we need to protect the database of the agents. You need to bulletproof that. And to your second point, for the people that are buying leads, that are spending with Realtor.com or Zillow, and they've just got the phone call from their rep, and their friendly rep is doing them a favor by cutting their bill by 50%. Well, just think about that. If you're paying $15 a lead, now you're down to $7.50. If you go through Lead Accelerator, you said on Tuesday that one of your people told you they were paying 62 cents a lead, and on stage they're averaging about $1.80 or $1.90. Yep. So the point is, complacency is a death sentence. Guys, so we need to adapt and change. Don't fall into this trap of I'm complacent, I like what I'm doing, and I like the people I'm doing business with. Just cut it. You need to do what Rebecca said. Just cut it. Just pull the Band-Aid off and just cut your expenses.
You know, Gary says that the shift is a gift, that there's a gift here and we don't know always what it is until we come out of it. As you think about it, what might be the gift that the people watching can get out of this particular shift?
I think it's relationships. And I'm looking at the chat box and there's a newer agent that says, I don't have a Sphere yet, so I can't really go back to those people. This is a great time to create that Sphere and just come from contribution. Reach out to every small business owner, even if you don't know which relationships they already have, but you're just going to help to give them something. With the business group, I was sharing the CARE Act information before their accountants were even sharing it with them. So just, be on webinars, continue to be learning based, and then share that information with anyone in your community that you think needs it. And that's the relationship you're going to form for your future business, and your pipeline is going to be so full that when people are ready to buy, and they're buying right now, honestly, you're losing opportunity right now if you just don't get into action to help people.
Brandy, everybody has a Sphere. It's all the phone numbers in here, right? It's all your Facebook friends. I think sometimes we hear sphere of influence. No, it's just people's names and phone numbers, and you call and check on them,
Well,
right?
I called my sister and I knew she had an SBA loan. I said, you'll get the first access to these funds. And she said, really? I'm waiting on a call back from my accountant. I said, well, I'll send you an email. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'll send you a webinar. She watched it. It saved her time with her accountant. They did a Zoom call and she's prepared now. She's already applied. So think about your family. And then, my dad was having some teeth issues and, he had several problems and his dentist was closed. And that same small business page, I found a dentist that was open for emergencies. And my mom called and said, thank you. You just helped him out and they take our insurance, so your family is your sphere.
There you go. All right. What other gift might be in this shift? Who wants to add?
I agree with Randy. The knowledge, like on the last shift, I became such a better agent. Just learning about short sales and the market, and just having the time, having the shift forced me just to become better. Is really what I'm trying to say.
I love it. Beth and then Tony.
Yeah, so I think anytime the market shifts, just as we talked about new skill sets, new things that you have to do, that is not for the faint of heart. The gift of the shift is that people pretending to be real estate agents will no longer have the ability to pretend. And so those who have the mindset and the tenacity and the big why to continue to lean in and do hard things when other people are choosing not to are going to be the ones that come out with market share on the other side of that. And that's not a kick people when they're down statement, to paraphrase Jason Abrams. That's this is who we are, and this is our opportunity to lead ourselves and our families and become the leaders in the industry.
Well, first we make the choice, then the choice makes us. We've got some choices to make. Tony.
Yeah, I was going to say, just add value. So I think the opportunity at the moment are the loans that Ray mentioned earlier. I think he posted in the comments some links as well. So thanks for doing that, Ray. Huge opportunity to call small business owners that and make sure they're aware of it. And there's a sense of urgency to apply for those as well. There's also a grant out there. 2 weeks ago, the market of opportunity was interest rates. So I was calling people that I have done a lot of business with and just making sure they're aware interest rates were down. And, that's still an opportunity depending on the day at the moment right now. So just thinking outside the box, how do I add value to people when I call them is really what it's all about. And that changes all the time of what that is. And then teaching your team what that strategy is. And it's as simple as calling to say, how are you doing right now? And then you can have a secondary part of whatever that looks like if it goes into a real estate conversation. But add value. It's that simple.
Are you guys, whether you're a team leader or an OP or an agent, this would apply to everybody. Do you have a goal or a standard when it comes to your lead gen for each day? And what does that standard or goal look like? Go ahead, Michelle.
We start our day every day as a team. We power up at 8:30. We script practice and we hit the phones from 9 to noon. That's a standard, and that is done every day of every week, even right now. Like I hopped off my power up call with my agents and I missed script practice because I hopped on this call.
Wonderful. Who else? What's your lead gen standard or expectation? Go ahead, Brandon.
Basically, Monday through Saturday, my goal is to get 20 touches a day. If I get them done prior to Saturday, then I'm done for the week. But I try to focus on my sphere. I break it down into letter groupings. The first 3 days, I powered through 100 calls, 100 touches with my sphere. So,
are you adding leads to the pipeline through that, or do you find it's more of a mind share game right now than a market share game?
I'm just trying to be relational with my people, basically checking on them, seeing if they need anything. I've got kind of two things going. I'm trying to see if I can help them financially, kind of navigate, because I remember when I went through it, just didn't know how to attack the situation. So that's kind of been my strategy with my sphere. And then of course, my business owners, I'm trying to help navigate the CARE Act and all that. So those are my two main focuses.
Got it. Anybody else?
Me.
Go ahead, Ray. And then, I'm sorry, Ray, Rebecca, then Ray. We'll do it that way. Rebecca, then Ray. Go ahead.
I think that everybody needs to be calling their sphere or calling anybody they know and offering them a gift of a refi of a mortgage, and also the ability while they're home to see if they can save 30% on their insurance. And the way they can do that is, let me just send you this app. You just put this app on your phone and you can get a free refi, and you can get savings on your insurance, and you can have an app where your information is never going to be sold. And that's the gift from Keller Williams Real Estate during this time.
Yes.
That's great.
Love it. Thank you. Go ahead, Ray. Oh, you're muted, buddy. You got to unmute yourself.
That would help, right? So at 8:45, we talk about, so in this time, a lot of people are down, and having our morning call actually helps all of us get together to move forward. And when people ask me, I've had a team since 2004, and when I met Georgia in 2006, I've been a relatively top performer in the region ever since then. But a lot of people ask, what's the key to longevity in real estate? And one of the reasons that I love Keller the way I love Keller is the interactions that we have with each other. So in the morning, our first call is at 8:45 is to get everybody going, making sure that they hit their goals that we set for the day. But also, what does it look like to win the day today? And also, what were the wins from yesterday? Because we need a lot of positive energy now, because there's a lot of people right now that don't have that because they're sitting at home depressed. So for us, it's a great way to get our team, our family together and get going.
I love it. Who else? Go ahead, Rich.
So I have our team leaders text me every day their numbers. They send me 4 numbers, James. They send how many phone calls they've made, how many conversations they've had, how many appointments they've booked, and how many appointments they've taken. What I found is it's really not about 4 conversations. It's more like 6 conversations. Because at the end of the end of last year, I noticed our appointments went down. So what we did is we started tracking our numbers and found out each team leader had a different conversion ratio. In order for them to hit their individual goals for appointments, each team leader has to have anywhere from 5 to 8 conversations a day. So at the end of the day, if they're not hitting their numbers, by 6 o'clock, I'm texting them, did you forget to send me their numbers? Nobody wants to send their numbers with 0 in there, and it's very easy to fall into that trap where they don't make a phone call because they get caught up in the moment, or you have a minute. People asking questions, you have a minute. So I think that accountability of responding, how many phone calls, how many conversations, appointments booked, and appointments taken, it's no different for agents. Who's holding them accountable?
Rich, the accountability is the difference maker there, right? And when I was coaching agents one-on-one for a while for MAPS, I remember I had a agent who I was coaching, and she was behind on her listing goal. And so we'd said, all right, let's do this. And she came up with it. She texted me every day 3 numbers, Rich. And the first number was hours that she lead generated. The second number was contacts she had made. And the third number was listing appointments scheduled. And we made an agreement that the minimum number for hours lead generated had to be 3. The minimum number for contacts made had to be 20. And the minimum for listing appointments scheduled had to be 1. So the smallest numbers she could send me were 3, 20, and 1. And I said, I don't want a whole bunch of here's what happened and just 3 numbers.
Right.
And the first number has to at least be 3. The second number has to at least be 20. And the third number has to at least be 1. Well, Rich, she said she'd do it. And the first day she sends me 5.5, 27, and 1. Okay, so I knew she'd lead generated for 5.5 hours. She talked to 27 people, and she scheduled 1 appointment. Now, Rich, you're a smart guy. Which contact was the listing appointment?
Right.
27,
yeah.
Right? Because otherwise she wouldn't have made 27 contacts. Now, the next day, I remember this so vividly. The next day she texts me, it says 4.5, 24, and 1. I go, woo, you cut an hour off your time to lead generate. You cut down 3 contacts, and you still got your appointment, and we knew she got her appointment on the 24th one. Now, Rich, she did this every day for like 3 months, and there would be days that I would get 3, 24, and 3. And what happened was she would go over on her contacts, and she'd schedule all these appointments. Never, ever, ever was there a day that she did not schedule an appointment. Never, ever, ever was there a day she didn't do 20 contacts. And now fast forward 3 months later, and I get on the phone for our coaching call, and she's screaming at me, Rich. She is screaming at me. She's angry. She's frustrated. She's upset. And I said to her, I said, what's going on? And she says, James, I'm freaking out. I go, why? She says, I have more listings now than I've ever had, and I don't know how to service them. And I said, well, that's a hell of a lot better than the problem we had 3 months ago.
That's right.
And so what I want us to think about is, what's your standard? Like, because your standard is the lowest number you will settle for. So if you tell me that, oh, my standard is every day I got to make 10 contacts, except you have a day that you made 0, then what's your standard?
0.
So right now in a market like this, 0 cannot be your standard. And we've got to up the standard. Gary says double down, right? We've got to double down. So I want to hear from you all. How are you doubling down when it comes to your lead generation? What strategies you put it in and what's working? I think, Brandy, you had your hand up, and then Tony did too. We'll go ladies first. Brandy.
So, you have to make it fun right now. I know a lot of people mindset-wise are struggling. So, make it a competition and make it about how many consultations you can have. I stopped using the word appointment and contacts. I think that works in like normal times where you're doing lead generation, but how many consultations can you have? And to remind you of that, just put as your background on your computer a bunch of question marks, or put a sticky note with a question mark on your computer screen. So to remind you to have a competition and ask as many questions as possible. So if you have a team, run a competition. Who asked the most questions today? And that a lot of times, like you say, if you get out scripted, you just didn't ask the right questions or enough questions to find out what their motivation is, why they're in the position they are to make this transition in the sale. So right now, people need consultations more than ever because there's so much uncertainty and they do not know which direction to go.
Yeah, we got to help them. Tony?
Yeah, you just need to track everything. So we do a weekly scoreboard Monday mornings. We all get on a call. We report all our numbers. It includes the promise, which is how many referrals we asked for, how many referrals received, how many reviews we asked for, and how many received. And everyone is talking together on one call, and there's no conversation about it. It's very direct. I did 11 hours of lead gen. I made 62 contacts, whatever the numbers are. And, if you have a team member that's going 0, 0, 0 over and over, they're just not going to probably be on the team very long, because you have that high level of accountability between your peers that's on a conference call every single Monday morning. And so track everything right now is an easy way, I think, to stay on track. And then just showing up, I always say, it's half the battle. So, you just need to do it daily. If you miss a day, I would say that is okay, because you can make it up another day. But you have to get your 10 contacts per day as a salesperson on our team, and you need to get 20 if you're an ISA on our team daily. And we're now leaning towards James's advice, which is double that down, quadruple that down, whatever that looks like. And we got to roll up our sleeves, guys. It's time. The time is now.
Michelle, you got to unmute.
Yeah, we just had this conversation about how we, as leaders of teams, in the old days, because now they are old, we used to just think that these are our standards, they will follow them, you don't follow them, you hold yourself accountable, and then we have a fierce conversation. Well, these days are different. And so what we came up with is, and by we, I mean Ben, we need to be talking to each of our agents every day and just having a one-on-one conversation saying, how did your day go today? Did you hit your goals? What was the obstacle? How are you feeling? Like doing one-on-one check-ins every day. When you have a huge team, I understand that gets to be a lot of conversations. But really, when you have a huge team, you know the people who really need those conversations too. And those that you can maybe touch once or twice a week. But for even for single agents, have someone that you can reach out to and talk to about how is all of this going right now. So that is something that we just started this week. And every day I'm talking to every person. We just added 3 new agents on our team in the past 10 days. So we're having conversations about their first 90 days, you know, the first 30 days and their training and everything. But I think that the one-on-one in this day and age is kind of important for people just to have that connection and develop even better relationships with our team members.
I love it. And solo agent can do that too, just by partnering with somebody in the office. Okay, would each of you be willing to share a mistake you've made in a previous shift that you want to make sure that the people listening don't make in this one? So what's a failure or lesson or mistake you've learned from a shift before that you'd like to give advance warning to those of us that are watching?
I'll go.
Rebecca, I saw your hand first.
I'm on mute. I didn't cut enough quick enough.
You're talking expenses.
Yep. Didn't cut enough quick enough. So just
So what's your advice then? Because someone looks at it and goes, I really need this. Did you find that you thought you really needed things and you didn't?
Yes, both personally and business-wise. You know, just be brutal. Talking from someone who never had, when we started selling real estate, we didn't have anything you had to buy, really. Okay, so you don't really need anything. You need your mouth, you need your brain, and you need a good attitude, but most of the other stuff, you need it. And just cut.
Gary says in the book, page 34, he says, there's no expense that is untouchable. There is no cut too small. You must reduce expenses to match your income plus a profit. Be brutal. Cut, cut, cut. Cut once, cut twice, and then keep cutting every week until you're there. Yeah. Chris, I saw your hand up, I think.
Sure. Well, certainly I would say probably the biggest mistake is I didn't buy enough. And what I mean by that is back in 2010, I bought 50 houses. I should have bought 500 houses.
Well, we don't have a DeLorean, so we're not going to go back and fix that, right? Tony, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I would say my best advice would be, I'm trying to think, let's go back to me. I had a thought and I lost it.
That's okay, we'll come back. Damien? Damien?
So it's acting more quickly. You know, we had, even as a market center today or in March, we had a great month. And so it's easy to think that the shift isn't what we think it's going to be, or we underestimate what the shift can do. And so acting more quickly, that was a mistake. Our team could have reacted or put a plan into action much more quickly than we did, and we kind of in the beginning just underestimated the shift. And so my advice would be, don't underestimate. Plan for the worst and hope for the best.
So Damien, I think there are a segment of the people who think that this is going to blow over, and we're looking at our March and going, it was pretty good. Folks, there were, 2.4 million jobs lost last week and 6.4 million jobs lost this week. That's 9 million jobs. This is not just going to blow over, and so we've got to make changes immediately. I love it, Damien. Thank you. Who's next?
Gary said
Go ahead, Georgia.
Gary said on a call yesterday, just real quick, that probably at least 90 days, that we've got at least a cycle for 90 days on here.
So you're talking April, May, June, right? So see, the number I've been tossing out was, this is our life until June. So when Gary's saying that, we're going, this is our life till July. Yeah, so we got to work it out that way. Go ahead, Beth.
So that's about managing expectations and managing energy, right? So right now, I feel as if we've been running on adrenaline for some time, right? So every day you wake up and there's a new challenge and a new surprise, and it's exciting, and you push through with that energy. But I also think that there is a way to manage our energy and follow a schedule that empowers us, that keeps us on track, and that allows us to make steady progress and measure the progress that we're making. So every day we can't, have a crisis. It feels that way, but we can't think of every day that way. And if we're talking about 90 days, it's time to get that routine down now.
Yeah, you got it. Go ahead, Michelle.
Unmute yourself.
Sorry, yeah. So I think that one thing that I made a mistake in that first shift was that I tried to learn everything all at once, and nobody knew anything about short sales. The banks didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know what we were doing, but there was so much information and so much that we had to learn that I didn't really just focus on one thing, although I survived, and I survived fairly well. In this day and age, we have webinars and Zoom calls and all kinds of things, just being bombarded with all of these things. And I think we have to go back to the one thing. You have to choose one thing at a time that you're going to learn about this shift. You have to choose that you want to do virtual listing appointments. You have to choose that you want to get better and learn more about shift like we're doing every morning. But for me, that's it, right? Like, go back to learning one thing at a time and don't feel overwhelmed. I can't tell you, we have a spreadsheet of webinars and Zoom calls that we can hop on. You have to choose one thing. You can't do it all, and just concentrate on that and then move to the next thing. So that would be the thing that I made the mistake with before, and I'm not this time.
So before we add, this is key, before we start adding buckets, because there's a lot of stuff in the chat going, how do I get into short sales? Before we add buckets, we master the database. Okay, once you've mastered one thing, you make mastering the next thing easier. So until you've mastered your productivity, you don't think about adding anything right now. Now's not the time. Okay, Tony, I saw your hand go back up. Rich, and then Ray.
Yeah, so it's a good opportunity now to teach, whether that is through Zoom, share the expertise that you do have with your peers as part of our culture with Keller Williams as well. And then, I think a lot of the questions I see in the Zoom chat it's literally in the shift book, like literally. So you definitely want to get back to the basics and read that book again. Something that I think can help everyone on this call is bulletproof your transaction as much as you can, as Brandy was saying, but also move up the business. So for example, those repair limits, if they're asking for 2,000 in repairs and the seller is saying absolutely not, that could be a way for the buyer to definitely walk right now. So you need to really be setting expectations with your clients at a high level before you're going to spend more time talking to them about it prior to inspection appraisals to help bulletproof those transactions, because the amount of transactions will get less here in the couple months probably. And we need to prepare for that. So we need to make sure we're getting trained in our scripts to know how to talk to our buyers and sellers and navigate through and give them good leadership, not to make bonehead decisions right now in their real estate transactions.
So Gary says in the book that this is a skill-based market. We've got to practice our scripts. We've got to have good systems and grow our skills. Rich?
Yeah, don't hide behind profitability. I think that was a big mistake I made back in the first shift, the last one. Again, I agree with Rebecca. I didn't cut fast enough. And I think we fell into a false sense of security because we were profitable. Everything was going to be okay. So we didn't cut fast enough. So guys, don't hide behind profitability. Because you're profitable doesn't mean we've reached that financial economic crisis, which is going to be 60, 90 days out. We still haven't felt it. So tighten your belts.
He says that when good times, we become loose with financial decision making. And so we've got to go investigate where is it we've made those mistakes. Brandy?
I think forget about hiring people right now. I think, building your bench in any situation. The biggest failure I had was I focused on the one thing in the last shift, which is short sales and foreclosures. And I was sending Bank of America packages on how to do it because they were a mess. But, I didn't hire anyone. So it became to the point where I was working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And then when I came over to Keller Williams, I'm like, oh, there's a thing called leverage. Someone else can help me do this. So there's a lot of talent out there. And even as an OP or even your market center, as agents in your market center, you can help other agents by teaching, like Tony said, and you can attract them to help build your profit share, or just indie offices that really need help right now. They're real buyer heavy, and they spend a ton of money on lead generation, like Zillow and Realtor.com, which is not sustainable. And that's how they're keeping those agents in this codependent relationship. We can help bring them over to Keller Williams and teach them how to work on their database.
You know what's great is that if you are looking to add leverage or add talent, there's 9 million people available to you now that were not available to you 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And so I'm serious. There's talent out there now, and the ability to get them is easier, and they cost less right now. So I mean, that's an opportunity. Ray, you had your hand up, buddy.
Yeah, so, when we go back to the database, because everybody should be working their database, especially now. In 2005, James, in Orlando, we had 3,900 homes for sale, and normal is 10,000. By 2007, we had 26,300 homes for sale. So my faux pas back then was I had a hard time reaching out to my database because we didn't have anything positive to talk about. Well, nowadays, if you look at today's climate, as bad as it is medically, we have a lot of positive things to talk about when we talk to our database. We have low interest rates. We have government actually stepping in to help people. We have affordable housing. The people that are looking to buy houses now don't have competition. Michelle had talked about going out and taking clients out. I took 2 couples out this weekend, and I think I was the only realtor out there showing houses. So they have carte blanche right now. So the people that are working, being careful, showing houses, their buyers are winning with low interest rates. So we need to talk about the positives in real estate, because the average American doesn't even realize that real estate's still going right now. We're the conduit to get that word out.
Rebecca?
Couple things. Since we have a lot of agents and a lot of operating principals on the phone together today for the North Region, it's really important to support your leadership and your OPs when they're making cuts. If we're making 2-ply toilet paper to 1-ply, get behind us and support us.
Literally.
Because we're trying to save your profit share. And the other thing is, whatever your goals were for this year, those need to be your goals for this year, okay? Your life did not change. What you need or what you want or what you planned didn't change. And there's plenty of business for you to keep on your goal. And so that would be my focus. If my focus was 4 deals a month, I'd still be making sure I'm getting my 4 deals a month, because it is out there for all of you, because other people won't do it.
Rebecca, on page 54, Gary says what you just said. Your goals haven't changed.
Gary.
Your goals haven't changed. You know your annual income goal. You know what it is. You know the number of sales you must close to hit it. What has changed is the number of appointments that you're going to go on and the number of leads that it takes to get those appointments. That's the only thing that's changed. Tony?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to say too, I think we go negative ultimately with a shift. Most people naturally do that, but think of it this way, and it's not to take advantage of the market. It's just basically what's going to happen with the job losses, guys. What do you think is going to happen with people losing their jobs? They're going to have to sell their house. So the listing inventory will rise. Right now, it's still really low. And Ray made an awesome point. Like, our buyer's agents are finally like, oh my God, we're getting our buyers amazing deals right now because no one's looking at houses, right? So get the listings and be the solution to people when they're in their hard time. So it goes back to my short sale hat of sitting at the table. Now it's going to be on a Zoom, and being empathetic and understanding that they are losing their home. And we're going to be the solution to help them navigate through that. And it may be, a solution that they can stay in the house potentially as well. So, there's a market of opportunity always.
Well, there are some people, Tony, I was looking at it and going through our PACE, right? Our plan, and then whatever, I forget the thing. E stands for emergency. And my thought is, I've got cash in my house. Like, that's my emergency. And if I had to, then this is what I would sell as an emergency. And I think there are a lot of people that do have cash in their house right now that cash will go down, right, as time goes. So there are people that are going to go, hey, I want to cash out, and because that's how we're going to survive right now. And you've got to be the one that has mind share with them. That's why I've said mind share now. market share later. Okay, we've got 10 minutes left. That's 45 seconds apiece. Oh, Georgia has her hand up. Hold on, all things stop. Go ahead, Georgia.
I have some things to say at the end, but Chris, do you really think that short sales are going to be prevalent? Because I see that there's a lot of buyers that want to buy, and this isn't a shift like the last shift where we had the banks and everybody having economic problems. Do you really think that short sales are going to be prevalent, or is it going to be there's a lot of people that want to list houses and we have a lot of buyers that want to buy, so we're not going to be needing to deal with banks?
I do think we're going to have more short sales than we have now in the market. I don't think we're going to see as many short sales as we saw in 2008 to 2010, mainly because we have been giving people, we don't have all the fraudulent loans and the equity's still there. So I would imagine that you're going to start seeing BPOs coming around. You're going to start seeing REOs coming around. You're going to start seeing short sales coming around. So it's all going to get more. So everybody should get skilled in short sales, and you should have a division of your team, or you should be skilled yourself in doing it. But I doubt it's going to reach the amount that we had previously, because again, also banks are trying to do more forbearances. So they're attempting to do more forbearances than they'd previously done in 2008 to 2010. So you'll see a lot of people being able to extend out their payments before they need to do the short sale route. But again, with the sheer amount of unemployment, like James was talking about, when you're at 6 to 9 million people unemployed and the numbers are rising, it's without a doubt that of those, there are going to be people in there that just say, I don't want to own a home anymore, and maybe I don't have any equity, and they're gonna be calling us.
And I do think too that the government's going to step in. They've already done it once. They're talking about another one. So the government's learned from last time. They've already done a little bit of stuff, and I think they might step in and go, look, banks, you're going to have to eat this thing for 6 months so people can keep their house, and you're just going to have to tack it on at the end, or when they sell it, or if they refi it. I think we'll see some more of that too, Chris. What about you?
Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was
Do you think we'll see some stuff like that where they'll
Oh
just
yeah,
go,
no, that's
look,
sorry. Yeah, James, I'd already kind of mentioned that I think we're going to see more forbearances. We're going to see more of the banks willing to lend on the back end of a loan and be able to say, well, you know what, we'll give you 6 months, but we're going to tack it onto the back. But I am hearing already on Facebook some horror stories of people that have called in to their bank, and some banks aren't being as nice as they should be. There's still banks, you got to remember that. So there will be plenty of opportunity for us in the short sale market and the REO market. I saw Christina Griffin if you look at the chat panel, she's a huge REO agent, and she's already seeing an uptick herself. So
okay, there you go.
Well, James, I'm going to ask Chris, because Chris, many of you may not realize this, wrote a book and had a program called Short Sale Riches. So Chris, I'm going to ask you if probably in the next couple of weeks we can get you on a couple of calls, and you could maybe lead us through some short sale opportunities. And
yeah.
All right, so
I'd be happy to, Georgia. Of course, we're going to have Short Sales Riches 3.0. We had 2.0.
There you go.
There you go. 3.0. That's what, well, we were all looking forward to that. My goodness. All right, let's do this. I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds for a final word. What's the final message? I'm just going to call on you as you are in my screen. So Michelle, your final thoughts in 30 seconds.
Do the work, do the things, and you'll stay in business.
I like that. That was 10 seconds. Chris, you can have her extra run over time. What are your final thoughts?
Sure. Just learn to pivot, and right now go where the market is going. So if you're going to need to be skilled at price reductions, you're going to need to be skilled at taking short sales, you're going to be skilled at doing BPOs and REOs, getting investors, doing self-directed IRA into real estate. So go where the market of the moment is going and learn the market of the moment.
Thank you. Ron, your final thoughts.
Winners won it the most and the longest.
Oh, I like that. Brandon.
Database, database, database.
Okay, yeah, that should be it, right? Until you've invested in the database, don't invest in anything else. Rich? Oh, you're muted, buddy. You got to unmute yourself so we can hear you.
I would say, James, that hope is not a strategy. We were born for this moment. After all, every one of the agents that we have that have been in real estate a year have already been in one shift. They just didn't call it that. It's called seasonality, right? We go through this all the time. So just prepare yourself. Hope's not a strategy. Go out there, take action, and don't worry if you make a mistake. We're here to help clean it up.
There you go. Rebecca.
I love this one. First, we make the choice, and then the choice makes you. this is the time where you choose to take share, and you choose to let other people come and work with us, because I already saw that there was people from Banker that were saying, we're not getting any training or help or support. And this is your opportunity to reach out to them, because they are not. They're just running scared, trying to figure out about, you know, how they're going to make their next payments. So you just need to stay on track.
Thank you. Tony.
I'd say bet on yourself. I would go specifically to page 55 of Shift and decide what your number one, like Brandon just said, database. That's his number one, obviously. It looks different for each person. Master something now and focus on one thing first, and then add a second and a third eventually. And just get really purposeful about adding your skills right now, so you know your scripts well.
Love it. Thank you. Brandy?
I would just do all those little things you know you should be doing, but you said you didn't have time to do, like writing those handwritten note cards, sending people cards, you know, sending them a video or calling them if they're available, and just telling them how much you appreciate them. And they're going to remember you for just reaching out with that simple little message, and it's how you make people feel.
Thank you so much. Ray?
Being a resource to everybody around you, not just your database, of course you should be, but to other agents as well. Because, you know, making our real estate industry better is what we need to be doing now, while there's so much unrest in the real estate industry.
Love it. Beth?
Yeah, so mine goes back to take action. We have the best leaders in the industry. When Gary says this is what we need to do, don't ruminate about it. Just freaking do it. Get into action as soon as possible. Keep your schedule, and every day track your progress, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because these are uncomfortable times. But just do it every day. Take action, and you're going to feel better.
Yeah, it's a true story. Well, Georgia, that's it. We got our class done. What are your final thoughts you want to share with everybody?
Well, I was watching the chat box. First of all, you're welcome. So many people were so thankful to you, James, and to all of you as the panelists today. They said you rocked it. So first of all, thank you for everything that you've done. I was with most of you during the shift, because I came into the region in 2006. I was lucky to have it right when the shift hit. So I've been with most of you through this, and we're gonna move forward through this again. James, you did an amazing job. We couldn't have had a better leader on this call. So we're so appreciative of you and everything you did. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
The other thing is, guys, a lot of the questions or comments I'm seeing, you have every tool you need at this company. This is the time that you embrace Command for your $25 a month. You have your contacts, you have your opportunities, you have your designs, you have your campaigns, you have, you know, Facebook, you have Lead Accelerator. All of those tools are right in the palm of your hand to be able to get in touch with your sphere and continue to take your business. You have KW Connect. Just go to kwconnect.kw.com, and you have right when you click on there, you're going to see the shift, and then you're going to be able to see all these videos that James was talking about, all the things I was talking about, all the skills, the scripts, the tools, everything that you need is right there, again, right at your fingertips. And then Ashley, thank you so much, because you did an amazing job tracking all this. She was really a help to you, I know, James.
Oh, massive. Are you kidding?
And doing our recap every day. And so what Ashley and I are going to get together after this call, we're going to put all of these, everything about the SBA loans that we know, the videos that Brandy has sent to us, all the little things that we have. We're going to go and we'll just create a whole list of everything. Christina, I know you're out there. I want to get in touch with you, because love to have you do a couple of sessions for us on REO, so we can get those maybe same time, same place, and have some REO training. Chris, I'm going to get with you on Zoom. Of course I get with you on Zoom. But short sale richness 3.0, so we can get that going. And I just want to keep this training going so we can become a resource to all of you. But take advantage of everything you already have. So when we're not there, your market center is there for you. KW Connect is there for you. Command is there for you. I am there. If you have a question, just pick up the phone and call me, text me. We want to be a resource, and we're going to come out of this just amazingly awesome, more awesomer than we are today.
You got it. Well, thank you, North Florida, for having me. I appreciate you very much. I love you. Get after it, and we'll see you around. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, James.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.